All right. So this is gonna be what, day 25 of our little series here. Um, Today it was Artorias of the Abyss. Who is like he's my favorite boss in Dark Souls. That's the reason I drew him. Um, yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like cool, you know. Because I think in terms of like the drawing stuff, I think the anatomy was good. I think the lighting was good. I just think some of the minor details were I don't know, I think they were a little they felt like there was kind of a miss on them. And so I kind of wish I had at least taken a little bit more time to really try to look at them. That and I was using two reference images. I was using the one from the wiki, and then I was using some fan art, and they had two different designs, and so sometimes they would clash, and I wouldn't know which one to necessarily pick from. But regardless of that, I think that the shading and the texturing and all that was very well done on my end. I think that it feels like he has his little flowing cape. It feels very accurate. Like if you looked at this, you would know it's Artorias. Which it's obviously the point, right? Also the thickness of his ponytail is evidently that was another thing that's like some drew it really thin, some drew it really thick. So it was kind of up for interpretation. That's what I saw it. Again, and so the helmet shape was another thing that was like, what's the yes or no? Yeah, just a lot of that kind of stuff. It was like the general design was normally the same, but then the little extra bits definitely were a little harder. But yeah, no, I had to fight with a lot of the problems of like my lines weren't didn't feel very like when I was doing the initial sketch, it didn't feel like my lines were very, I guess, definite. Like it didn't feel like they had as much purpose as I needed them to have, and so that was a problem. Where I had to do a lot of redrawing and resketching um, before I could really start the art proper, which sucks. But what are you gonna do about it? Um, but yeah, no. Again, generally my thing when I do like artsy fartsy designs, like when you have to do like little doodads on armor or whatever, it's normally just kind of draw squiggles and make them symmetrical. Like that's typically the way I go about doing it, just because it's just easy. It's just a lot easier. That and also his sword. Some people made it like a very light blue, and then some people made it like a very dark navy, and then sometimes it was like glowing, and sometimes it wasn't. It's just a very I don't know. It's just very awkward, I guess, to draw. Um, but yeah, no, so that was definitely an interesting challenge. But yeah, but then the reason why I chose Artorias is just if you played through the game, I think he's. I'd say he's one of the only reasons I do the DLC in that game. Like Manus is a fun fight, but just everything from like the story to the presentation to everything that like you do whenever you fight Artorias, it just I don't know. He just feels cool. One of my favorite things that the Souls games will do, at least like lore wise with the boss fight, is they'll take a guy who like they'll have him like rumored in legend about how amazing he is, and they make it so that the way that you beat him is you wait until he's already like basically one foot in the grave, and then you can beat that guy. And so it always, I don't know, it always makes me wonder like how tough would this fight have been if it was like a prime Artorias or like a prime this guy or prime like it's like how strong were these people? So it's very interesting. Um, that's a very interesting thing that the games do. But regardless, I like it because he does. I mean, he's just cool, you know. It's just one of those like big guys with sword fights where it feels like I don't know. I guess it feels very honorable the way that he attacks you. Nothing really feels like annoying because I think a big problem that some Elden Ring enemies have is that they have this feeling of almost like BSing you. Like they try to like it feels like they're trying to get one over on you rather than trying to make it like a fair and interesting fight. Um, like I really hate Fire Giant and like the Godskin nobles for that reason. But in and again, even in Dark Souls 1, there's things like Ceaseless Discharge and a couple bosses where it's like, okay, this just kind of, like this isn't like fun hard. This is just annoying hard. And so that's that. I think Artorias doesn't suffer from that, and it makes it a very interesting duel. Um, that and like I think he has like a move set that feels like it's from like Dark Souls 3 or Elden Ring or something. He doesn't feel like he doesn't feel as much like a Dark Souls 1 boss. It feels like it's much harder to block and stay behind a shield with him, which is very fun. And then I really like the interaction where it's like if you beat him before fighting Sif, then Sif like recognizes that like, you know, you were there all those years ago, which is again a very it's a very fun detail, which pain to actually find that cutscene. Like again, kudos to them because it's like you would have to like to go about doing that would be like it would be a very specific route you'd have to take through the game. But again, yeah, I think it's interesting to know that like there is there is that like attention to detail. Um, yeah, so you can see me here fiddling with the sword design. I ended up going for much more darker, like I guess beige color, I guess is the best way to describe that. I wanted it to look like, I don't know, I guess more of like a faded gold. Though I do think the design is more of like a stone kind of color. But artistic interpretation and all that. But yeah, no, it is weird that his face doesn't have like there's nothing in there. Because like the way anytime I would fight him like in game, I would always have I'd always see like his head as like a little beak. I never really saw it as like a helmet, and then he has his head under it, and then the coat. Like I always thought of it as like a beak, and then like he was like a little bird dude in there. Um, Oddly he's not. He's a guy, but it's always fun to. I don't know. It's just that's always the fun interpretation I see of him, and so I do kind of wish I projected out the hook a little deeper. I think that could have been a detail that would have made it feel a little more Artorias-y. Yeah. So again, I think we should be starting on the shading here. Um, Again, I think the best shading for this picture was the shading of the chest plate, or not the chest plate, the like the cloak around his chest. Though I don't think the shading on the other parts is necessarily bad. I just think that that's like easily numero uno when it comes to the design. Um, yeah. So I think I ended up choosing the wrong blue here, which is why it feels like more of a different shade, a different color of blue rather than like a lighter or darker shade. Yeah, and then I went with this more of a like, I guess icy white. I do know there is some gold in his cloak that I did forget to add. Just looking back on it, but again, I think it would have been more trouble than it's worth at this point. So you can see me shading the armor here. The light source that I was generally thinking of was it was going to be behind him, so I did try to stay consistent with that. Though every now and then there would be more of a front-facing light. Again, I do think it looks generally consistent. It's just sometimes there is some weirder examples of the stuff creeping in. I kind of because of how weird all of the different designs I saw were. I generally kind of want my own design for his sword. Just because at this point it was so late that I wanted to not like late in terms of like time in the day, but more just like late into the progress of all those that I kind of want to just switch it to more of a personalized design. And then I did create a second layer for the for like the purple haze that he has during the fight. Um, if you don't know, whenever you're fighting him, he has like the like, abyss magic or whatever that he uses, and so that's what I was trying to emulate here. And I do think I did a very good job. The only issue is I do think it looks almost, I guess, out of focus is the best way to put it. Which is fine, but it just I do think it could have been a little more complete, I guess. But still, I think it still has its merits. And then I tried to just add a couple more small details to the armor, to everything, to make sure it still looked complete. But yeah, so that was most of this commentary was more about the actual drawing process than it normally is. So look at me staying on topic. But yeah, so thank you for watching. I hope I should have another video out tomorrow or Sunday. It just kind of depends on the schedule. But yeah, so thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Like, comment, subscribe, yada yada. Bye.